Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another little check-in on the attachment pack and some other mods I've been working on. It's been a little bit since we've done one of these. Life was a little bit busy, and I got used to the weekly upload schedule, but after the most recent poll, you guys said you wanted about 2 or 3 videos a week, so that's what we're doing, and quite frankly, that's the schedule I think I'm going to enjoy. That way I get to show off the stuff I'm working on, as well as Mods Weekly every Saturday. So, today we'll be talking about the stuff I've been doing for the past few weeks. That's going to include some new attachment pack attachments, as well as a new side project I've been working on in secret. One that only a select few people know about, so this will be the first time I think it's showing up on YouTube. So stay tuned for that. That'll come after the attachment pack update. Now then, as far as the attachment pack is concerned, on top of being super busy, I was kind of at a bit of a roadblock with the combat rifle. Every single time I've attempted the attachment pack, the combat rifle is always what throws me off, as I'm not only doing all of the attachments for it, but simultaneously doing a combat rifle remesh mod to make it more compatible with the attachment pack, and so that's just a bit of an undertaking. So, rather than just being stuck on that for a while, I went ahead and skipped over the combat rifle for now to move on to some other weapons, that way we could make some good progress. And good progress we did make. Pig and I completed one more weapon for the attachment pack, as well as a brand new weapon. So, the weapon that we worked on this last couple weeks was the Gauss rifle, coming up with some pretty cool new attachments, some brand new stuff, as well as some fun homages to other weapons from not only the Fallout franchise, but some other franchises as well. As always, these new attachments are meant to fill the gaps that were sort of left behind by Bethesda, as well as add some fun new options to the weapon that maybe you wouldn't think possible in the vanilla game, and offer some cool new aesthetics that allow you to customize these weapons even further than you ever could before. Going into the Gauss rifle, I had pretty much no inspiration, aside from knowing that I wanted to add some of the classic parts from some of the other Gauss rifle designs in the Fallout universe. But after all was said and done and we completed the project, I have to say the Gauss rifle is actually another one of my favorites in this pack. There's some really cool stuff here, not only aesthetically, but also functionally. There's some fun things that you can do with the Gauss rifle now that wasn't possible before. So I'm really excited to go ahead and show those things off for you. You should see some footage playing on screen now, but I think the best way to show off these attachments is to go in-game to the weapons workbench and show you each one of these and tell you a little bit about each one. So here we are with the Gauss rifle in game, and a lot of people don't really like this weapon. It's very, very different from the past Gauss rifle designs from Fallout, not only the Fallout 1 and 2 version, but even the Fallout 3 and New Vegas version, the Chinese Gauss rifle. I love those old aesthetics, and this one just doesn't quite feel the same. But I hope that with some of these new attachments you can at least enjoy this thing a little bit more than you could in its base version. Now, in terms of barrels, there's not much going on here. I may add some more in the future. I didn't intend to add anything, but Pig did want to make a new shield. So, we have the vanilla shielded barrel, and then Pig also took one of the original assault rifle assets I had made and converted that into a new heavy shield as well. So it's just a bit thicker and adds a nice neutral color and some vents on top. But for more of the interesting stuff, let's head over to the stock section. So here we have the standard stock from the base game, but also now we have the eco stock, which is sort of a callback to the Fallout 1 and 2 design. As you can see, the canisters on the side there, as well as the classic wooden style stock. This is a really, really cool look. And I have to say, I'm just going to go ahead and take this out of the workbench really quick, because something that's really, really fun with this weapon is the first person profile when you aim down sights with this thing. I know some people don't like their screen being obstructed, but I think it's really, really funny to aim down sights with this weapon. It takes up almost the entire bottom of the screen with these canisters, and I think it's a really, really funny look. It's almost like you're mounting a turret with this thing. Perfect for heavy armor like power armor. Now then, let's go ahead and check out some more of the stuff here. We have the retrofitted stock, which was my attempt to recreate the Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas Gauss rifle stock to actually fit this weapon. So it's not perfect or one-to-one, but I got most of the key elements and added sort of a handmade feel, as if somebody was trying to make this work on this weapon, which is technically exactly what I was trying to do. And I have to say, I think I like this one quite a bit. Then we have the recoil stock from the base game, followed by a request by Pig, which is a new marksman stock, something that makes it better with scopes for those long-range engagements, which is kind of what you should be using the Gauss rifle for anyways. So we have a really fun design of a collapsible marksman stock with a cheek rest. This thing looks pretty cool, I have to say. I'm actually pretty happy with it. And it does add an alternative stock that uses not wood, but polymer as part of its design, so you get a pretty cool neutral color scheme. And finally, that leaves a very simple one, which is the tactical stock. We're using some of the vanilla assets to make something that just kind of should have been there in the first place. This one looks very vanilla friendly and almost like it should have been there in the first place, so this one works pretty dang well. Very similar to the recoil stock, except it's a bit lighter as it's made out of polymer as opposed to a big hunk of metal. Then to the capacitor section, surprisingly, we do actually have some stuff here. So in the vanilla game, we have the half, full, and boosted capacitors, but now we have some new stuff, including the advanced capacitors, which is going to add a handful of donut rings into this weapon, very similar to the design from the Fallout 1 and 2 Gauss rifle. This is more of an homage than an exact recreation, working with the silhouette of the Fallout 4 weapon, but adding some nice nods to the classic designs. This is going to increase the damage, but also increase the charge time. So this is a pretty cool one, giving you the most damage per shot of any attachment in the vanilla game. But then we have one more design, and that is the experimental rapid coils. This is going to be an homage to the Stalker series. There's a Gauss rifle in the Stalker game that has a pretty similar design to this, and I think that these fit pretty well in Fallout's aesthetic. It looks a little weird in the preview menu here, as these balls are sort of flat, but when you take them in-game, they actually have a really cool glow to them. You may have seen that in some of the B-roll earlier in the video. That's really cool, especially at night. And it pairs well with the orange glow from the Nixie tubes here. I have to say, I like it a lot. Now, thanks to Pig for figuring this one out, we actually found a way to make the Gauss rifle automatic. Typically, that's a pretty easy thing to do on most weapons, but on the Gauss rifle in particular, it's actually really hard because it's sort of tied to the animations with the charge up of the weapon. Making it automatic is not something that was intended to happen, but we did figure it out, and it's pretty interesting. The recoil animation is a little funky and kind of hard to aim, but it's still pretty cool. And we did significantly reduce the damage to make the automatic not completely overpowered, but I'd have to say I think it feels pretty balanced in-game, and you can always increase it with perks. Now, we have absolutely nothing in terms of scopes, so we will skip over that, but we do have a couple of new muzzle devices, and that's going to include the accelerator, which is going to add the nice profile of the Fallout 3 and New Vegas design. This is going to increase the damage a tad, as well as greatly increase the range and accuracy of the weapon. And then we also have an electrified version of that. For some fun elemental damage, you can get some electrical damage on your projectile, thanks to the little unit here on the front. So that's pretty fun and cool. Adds a nice little bit of extra stuff to the weapon that just wasn't there before. But that's pretty much it for the Gauss rifle. There's not too much you can do with this thing, but by all means, if you have any ideas, leave them down in the comments. We may revisit this one before we release the mod. Now, moving on from the attachment pack, we do have some other weapons that we plan to work on next, but that's not everything that we're going to show off in this video. There is still one more side project. A new pistol mod that is a collaboration between myself and Pig. I really wanted to flex my modeling muscles and see what I could do in terms of realism and trying to be as accurate to a model as possible. Really trying to get better at my craft. And so Pig really wanted a 30 carbine pistol, specifically the Auto Mag 3. This is a very interesting pistol, very reminiscent of a sort of 1911 profile, but definitely not the same weapon. This one is chambered in a rifle cartridge and altogether is a pretty interesting weapon. Here we are looking at this project in Blender, and as you can see, it's a pretty faithful recreation of the weapon. Obviously, there's no textures in here, so some of the detail is lost in that regard, but I did my best to create a very accurate representation of the weapon, both in scale and detail. And unlike some of my weapons, there's actually some pretty good internals in here as well. As you maneuver the weapon around, there's actually pieces that will be shown whenever this thing is animated, so that's pretty cool. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with the design of this thing. There is some attachment work that we have done, at least on the modeling side of things, including different compensators as well as a rail for scopes. but none of that has been implemented in game yet. But to my surprise, we actually got a lot of work done on this already. As far as I knew, I figured that we were only going to be able to show off the Blender model in the sort of mod update video, but we actually got a lot of good work done, and so I have some textures here to show you as well. As you can see, I really tried to get the detail right. I spent a lot of time on the metal work, making sure that all of the finish was as correct to the real world version as possible. Also adding all the engravings and different little detail pieces to really sell the realism of the weapon. And I'm very proud of this design. I think it came out great. This is a really cool one. But that's not all. I've actually got more to show you. To my surprise, we were actually able to really get a lot done and have this weapon in-game. Now, there's not tons in the way of customization as of right now, but the base model with all of the moving parts is functional as a weapon in-game. So I do get to show off some screenshots of how this will actually look in Fallout. And I have to say, I'm very proud of this one. I learned some new texture methods as well as some other little techniques that made this thing look really good. And I'll be using that knowledge in all of my future projects as well as the attachment pack. Actually, some of that was applied to the Gauss rifle already. But I definitely have to say, even though this is a measly pistol, I think this is one of the best models I've ever created. And I think it means a lot for how projects are going to look moving forward in terms of detail and attention and textures. The textures alone on this one, just the slide that I showed off a second ago in Substance Painter, took an entire day to get perfect, and I'm really happy with it. So I think this is going to be a really fun pistol. And not only does it have wonderful models and textures completely handmade from scratch by myself, but we're also going to have some custom animations and sounds thanks to Pig. The animations are not ours, we are borrowing them, but the sounds were completely created from scratch by Pig, so that's really cool. I'll actually go ahead and show off the custom animations and sounds right now so that you can hear them in a void to see what they're going to look like in the final product. So yeah, that is the Automag 3, known as the 30 carbine pistol in game. A whole lot of fun, a really cool new pistol that should have a nice lore-friendly aesthetic. I'll do my best with attachments moving forward to not make this thing too tactical, but rather a sort of retro design, especially in regards to all of these scopes and compensators and stuff like that. This should be a really fun one for release that should be done somewhere in the next couple weeks, maybe a month. So stay tuned for that, and of course, more attachment pack updates coming next Wednesday. But that's pretty much going to wrap things up. That's the big bulk of what I have been working on, at least in regards to stuff that I have that's ready to show off. I should have more for you next week, so stay tuned for that. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a rating. I'll be making more of these very soon, and I would love to hear some feedback, especially down in the comments below. In case you haven't already, consider subscribing for more videos just like this, and a big shout out to all of my patrons for supporting every single video. And of course, a very special thank you to Jeremy Briggs, Backbone Danny, Freedom, Glasma, Damien, Indecisive Wolf, Logan, Rigmaiden, Lord Toast, Microhan, Moonlit Gamer, Oscar Scott, Sterling, Timmy76, Youth RC, and Voider for joining that Tier 3 Patreon membership. If you'd like to support the channel and the mods I create over on Patreon, you can do so using the link down in the description, but it is completely optional. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace!